welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things, and today I am giving you my October wrap-up. Very happily. Very happy to wrap up October. Not that it was a bad month or anything, it's just, it's time. It's time to wrap it up. So, October was a pretty decent month reading-wise. I just wanted to see, yeah, it was one of my higher reading months. Not as high as July and January, but still one of my higher reading months. I read a total of 25 books. I read a total of 4,124 pages. My audiobook hours I listened to was 149 hours and 33 minutes, which is 6 days, 5 hours and 33 minutes as days. My average page per day was 143.5, and my average hours per day was 7 hours, 3 minutes, and 59 seconds. My average rating was a 3.2. It was trash, and it's largely because I did that thing where I reread all of my worst rated books of all time. I've made smarter decisions in my life, for sure, and that was not one of them. But that definitely tanked my average rating by a lot. I purchased a total of 2 books, which cost me $15. I checked out a total of 20 library books, which saved me $453.57. God bless the library. I hope we get to continue to have our rights to it. I might have to edit that out. I did a total of 7 rereads. And remember the video I just mentioned earlier that was not my greatest idea? Mostly that. 13, for formats of books, 13 of them were audiobooks, 11 of them were ebooks, and 1 of them was a physical book. Of the audiences, 16 of those books were adult, 8 of them were young adult, and 1 of them was a middle grade book. And for genres, which you guys will see how this all turns out in the book blanket in a few months. For genres, I did 6 sci-fi, 5 fantasy, 2 romance, 1 historical, 5 thriller, 4 horror, no classics, 1 nonfiction, and 1 contemporary. So those are the stats. Let's talk about my best and worst books of this month. Yeah, let's start with the best books because I don't want to go on like a too long of a rant for the worst book, and there's only 1, and I have 3 really good books, so let's start with the really good books. First up, we have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This book was fun, but also traumatizing. It is a thriller book wherein our main character, someone attempts to kill her and doesn't succeed, but she has a brain aneurysm that is gonna like explode in 7 days, so she spends those 7 days, 14 days, something like that. She spends those days trying to solve her own murder. She ends up uncovering quite a few family secrets, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, but it was very interesting. Holly Jackson does a really good job of writing thrillers. I think that it was nice to see a step away from A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, although her last book that was a step away from that was also incredibly good. The reappearance of Rachel Price, I think is what that was called. See, they're so good that I remember them. So what does that mean? Pregnancy brain lets me remember them. But overall, I really enjoyed this book. I thought that it was very solid. Next up, we have Ollie in Between by Jess Callens, and this was my middle grade book for this month. It is a contemporary novel following our main character who is maybe non-binary, but maybe not really sure about what that means. And it's a very hard time to think about those things because middle school is tough. Our main character, I believe, is 11, and that's around the time that puberty starts, and also girl group things start. Our main character is assigned female at birth and is having to deal with cliques and family things, and having those conversations and trying to navigate them in general, even without having a non-conforming gender identity. Those conversations are already difficult, and female cliques and stuff are already difficult, but then to add in having a non-conforming gender identity can be really tricky. And I think that this book did a really good job at having those conversations, at navigating those conversations, and just creating a welcoming and open space for other people, other middle schoolers to read about the book. And I don't know. It was a really heartwarming story. I really liked the ending. I liked the way that all of it came together in the end. And I wished I had had a book similar to this when I was in middle school. And last on the list of top books, we have A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. This was kind of a last minute add to my TBR for me. This is a fantasy romance. It is young adult, and it follows our main character, True, who is a scam artist for the most part, but she ends up getting into a deal with a dragon prince and has to help him with this specific task that he's asked her to do in order to get herself and her mom and her sisters out of this like terrible debt that her mom has gotten them in. The story overall was really sweet. The romance of it was really sweet, but I was so invested in the magic of the story, in the background and the world building. I thought that it was really well done, especially for a standalone. Elizabeth Lim just does such fantastical writing when it comes to these kinds of fantasy books. Especially as somebody with aphantasia, I don't generally like overtly descriptive books and that kind of thing, and yet I could still feel myself diving into this world and like being deeply involved in this world and deeply invested in this world. And I think that Elizabeth Lim just does a really good job of doing that. I really enjoy her fantasy, and I'm kind of excited because I've got another one of her fantasy books on the TBR for next month, so it'll be good. Those are all my top books. I have my bottom, my worst book, and it is not the first time this has been the worst book. Unfortunately, because I did my reread of the worst books I've ever read, one of these has made it back to my worst book of the month, so congratulations, May Cobb. That's going to be The Hunting Wives by May Cobb. So again, this has been on my worst books before, and I have a whole video wherein I spend like 10 minutes ranting about this book. My issues with this book still stand, but actually upon reread, because I read it with my eyes this time instead of listening to the audiobook, I have further complaints about the writing as well. First off, our main characters are all terrible. Everybody in this book is horrible except for the husband, which is a weird stance for me to have, but here we are. Our main character should be paying for therapy with the money that she has, and instead is using it to get drunk and have sex with minors. Yeah, you heard me correctly. That's the plot of the book, by the way. That's pretty much the entire plot of the book. I don't know how they managed to make an entire TV show out of that and it not get demolished. I imagine it is nothing like the book. I would hope it is nothing like the book. But maybe it is. I don't know. I also dislike the way that this book is written. There are some grammar nitpicky things for me that I really struggle with letting go. A great example of this is she says something about something is vast, and then she talks about the backyard is vaster than da 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 da, which to me I would have just said even more vast. And I understand that that's more words, but it flows better, and there is a lot of that, a lot of flow issues that if someone had been more nitpicky about the grammar would have prevented those issues. The writing feels choppy at times. The author, or the main character's inner monologue, is inane and insufferable. She is one of the most brain dead individuals I think I've ever had the displeasure of reading from. And listen, I'm all about supporting women's wrongs. However, I'm not all about supporting women's wrongs when it comes to endangering their children, when it comes to ruining their marriage for no particular reason, and most especially when it comes to sleeping with minors or high schoolers in general. I don't accept that, nor do I approve that, and I think that that is a good enough reason for me to dislike this book, that alone. Again, I don't know how we managed to have a TV show that people rant and rave about, and I think it's just because there's some sapphic stuff that happens in the TV show, which, spoiler, does not happen in the book. The book is not queer. There's some what is the word I'm looking for? Performative heterosexual behavior. That's not the word I'm looking for, but I can't think of the word I'm looking for, where you feel obligated to act straight because of society, but you don't necessarily need to act straight. There is some of that happens in the book, but other than teasing and flirting, the book is not gay, nor does it ever get gay. So please don't ever have your hopes up about that if you plan on reading the book after having watched the show. It will disappoint you. that is it though. That is gonna be my wrap up. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Leave a comment down below if you've read any of these books and you enjoyed them. Have you read The Hunting Wives and then watched the show? Is it blatantly different? Oh, sorry, I have the hiccups. Is it blatantly different? I need to know. Like, these are the things I'm asking and the things I need to know. I think that's it though. So I post videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, except for the first full week of the month. So I will see you guys later on this week. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Like not reading The Hunting Wives. Okay, thanks, bye.